I wanted to bring you my 6-week update using Retin A, or Tretinoin as the generic is named. I had started the process, like I mentioned, about 6 weeks ago. It was sort of mid-July time, and I told you that I would update you here and there and just let you know about how I was going through the process, things that I was experiencing while using this cream, and just kind of, generally let you know how I like it and what my results are. So the first thing I want to talk about is going back to the beginning. I did, a quick little talk about it in the beginning when I first started using it, but I really didn't have a lot of experience then. So I'm going to tell you about how that's sort of gone since I spoke to you last. The first thing I did notice was a little slight bit of tightness and dryness in my skin. That was most pronounced in the first couple of days as my skin was adjusting to it. And usually I think for people the adjustment period is a lot more severe than what I went through. Honestly, it was hardly anything. I had a little bit of flaking. I'm actually going to set this down. I think you've seen it now. I had a little bit of flaking right here around my mouth, and that's typically where, if I'm going to get dry skin, I do anyway. My skin is combination oily right here through the T-zone, but I mentioned before, as I'm getting older, it is normalizing a little bit. I just turned 37, so that gives you a little bit of an idea of kind of where I'm at. My skin used to be a little bit more oily throughout the cheeks. Now that's all kind of normalizing. So the Retin A has caused that to the dryness to increase a little bit, but nothing that I can't tolerate and nothing that isn't frankly better. I would rather have my skin be a little bit drier, especially this time of year. Now I might need to reevaluate that in the winter and see if I don't need a stronger moisturizer, but right now I'm actually sort of enjoying that it's dried out my skin just a tiny bit, even though that's strange. Now, on to the bad part about what's happened. So I use the cream, I'd say every few nights, as you're supposed to ease into the routine a little bit. And after about a week to 10 days, I had a major breakout. And it's probably a breakout like I haven't seen since high school. And I was thinking, I'm not even sure I've ever had this bad of a breakout in high school. I had, as a teenager, a little bit of acne here and there, but nothing that was ever a problem. I used over-the-counter stuff, and it really was, not a big deal. So I really can't make it sound like it was worse than it was. But that same amount of acne is sort of carried over into my adulthood, and of course it's gotten a little bit better. There's definitely hormonal breakouts that still happen, around that time of the month. But what I experienced with the Tretinoin, the Retin A cream, was just really unlike anything I had seen before. And it was funny because I really didn't break out on my forehead at all, but in this area of my face, just right around here, chin excluded, just right here, I broke out everywhere. And that was really unusual for me. Even when I do have a breakout, it's not always as often in this area. It's usually like just a little bit around my mouth, or just, really here and there. But it was pretty serious. I probably had maybe at least 10 things going on at once, and I was really surprised. So of course I immediately went to the internet, and I had done my research before starting, so I kind of knew what to expect, but the amount or the severity of this breakout kind of took me by surprise a little bit. So I think it could be one of three things, and I guess I'm gonna have someone joining me here in the background. She never jumps up there. Anyway, I think it could be one of three things. The first thing is, I have heard a lot about purging as you're starting Retin A. The exfoliation on the rate at which your skin exfoliates gets sped up a little bit. And so I have heard that things that were underneath the surface of your skin suddenly are exposed. That top layer of skin is being sloughed off. And now all of a sudden those things are emerging because they've just simply been exposed by the rapid exfoliation. So that's one school of thought. The second one is the formulation of the Tretinoin cream itself. Some people are saying if you already have acne-prone skin that maybe a gel would be better for you. But when I talked to my doctor, we had both agreed that since my skin was normalizing a little bit as I got older, the acne was never really that severe, that we would go with the cream. And this, has been primarily for me an anti-aging thing. It really was never about the acne, anyway. The third possibility, and this is more just a speculation on my part, I purchased some Cerave moisturizing lotion to use on my skin. I've always had really good luck with Cerave, but I used one of the products that I purchased to use with the Tretinoin specifically, not having used it before. It was their moisturizing lotion. I don't have it to show you because I actually returned it. But it was a really heavier, like meant to be maybe like a body type moisturizer. And I thought, well, since this is going to dry out my skin a little bit, I'll just go ahead and combat it with a heavier moisturizer. And I'm not sure that was a good idea. So I really can't say, is it the formulation of the tretinoin? Is it the heavy moisturizer I was using? Or is it just the natural purging, exfoliating process? I don't know. But in any case, it passed. It stopped. I decided to discontinue the Cerave moisturizer and keep going forward with the tretinoin cream. Just, keep plugging away. So, and eventually after about 2 weeks in total, it just cleared up on its own, and I have not had any problems since. My breakouts are definitely happening less often, even during, typical hormonal times. So, that's been kind of a nice surprise. I decided just to stay the course in the event that it was the purging, and just, let nature take its course. And I am really glad I decided to do that. And I also wanted to mention, I've actually been able to cut out a couple of items in my skincare routine as a result of using the Retin A. I am no longer using a toner. I don't feel like I need to do that anymore. And I'm not having to use any acne spot treatments. The blemishes that I do have are becoming further in between, fewer and further in between, and they're really healing so quickly on their own. So normally at night I would kind of use like my Maro Badescu or the Eradicate and do a little spot treatment just to sort of as a prophylactic. And I don't find that I need to do that anymore. Anything that pops up kind of goes away really quickly, and so I just ignore it and leave it alone. So it's always nice when you can simplify your routine. Now, a couple things that I have stepped up or that I'm a little bit more aware of. I always wear sunscreen, but it's just important to know that sunscreen is no longer optional when you're using Retin A. Your skin will become photosensitive, which just means that you're more easily prone to being burned, getting sunburn, having irritation on your skin when you're out, with extended sun exposure, or probably even more limited sun exposure for that matter. So it's important that if you're going to start a Retin A routine, you're going to be really diligent and disciplined about using a sunscreen, which I kind of always was. But I have gone from using my Olay SPF 15 to using my Obagi SPF 50 exclusively. I am now using the Obagi SPF 50 every day, regardless. I just want to make sure I'm protected. And the point of the Retin A is anti-aging to get rid of hyperpigmentation, and I don't want to ruin all the good work that it's doing by not, maintaining my skin with the sunscreen, which you should be doing anyway as an anti-aging. So, the other thing that I have been more diligent about at nighttime is my moisturizer. Now, I did mention I took back the Cerave moisturizing lotion, and I am primarily using my Dermalogica Active Moist. I found that I really don't need as heavy a moisturizer as I thought I was going to. Yes, the Tretinoin, the Retin A cream is drying my skin slightly, but not so much that I really need to go all out and get some really heavy cream for my face. Now, I'm going to reevaluate that when the winter comes around, when the air is a little bit drier. That might be something I need to look into, but for right now, my Active Moist is really great. The other thing I did have on hand, which I've been using here and there just if it's more easily accessible, is I do have Cerave Pm, which is a product I've always really liked. I found when I started using that on its own several years ago, it was really good at reducing redness on the skin. So although I'm focusing on my Dermalogica Active Moist, if I'm just in another room and I happen to see my Cerave Pm, I'm putting that on at night as my moisturizer. The Tretinoin cream, I get out of the bath at night. I let my skin air dry, very well on its own, at least 20 to 30 minutes. And sometimes I help that along with a cool blow dryer. I sit on the cool setting and just make sure my skin's really dry. I do also want to mention that when you're drying your face with a towel, just pat very gently. Your skin does get a little bit more sensitive when using this product, so I'm just really, more aware of being gentle on my skin. And I should mention I am back to using my Clarisonic. I had kind of stopped using that at the beginning because I didn't want to have too much harshness on my skin. I didn't want to be doing too many things at once and just tear my skin up. So I discontinued that, but I am back to using it once a day at nighttime. I had always found when I used my Clarisonic that skincare products that I used were more effective when I used it because it can clear out those pores so that all the other good ingredients that you're putting on afterwards can actually sink in and do their job because they have a much better medium, for getting into the skin. So Anyway, those are a few simple changes. It's really not so much a change in the products that I'm using, it's just maybe a change in how I'm using them or how often I'm using them. So the Obagi SPF 50 in the morning, always, and then the Dermalogica Active Moist at night. I apply the Tretinoin cream, let it sit on for about a half hour or so to let it really sink in. Then I go with my nighttime moisturizer. That's been a really great routine for me. So anyway, I think that's it. My overall right now, I'm very, very happy with it. My one concern is that maybe I haven't had enough of a adjustment necessary for it. And by that, I mean that I kind of feel like I may have needed a little bit more irritation to know that it's a strong enough formula for me. I started off with the 0.25%. My doctor and I talked about starting with the lowest one available, but he said if I wanted to bump up strengths later on in a few months that we could certainly do that. So my plan right now is just to continue with this, but I think definitely at some point I am going to bump up the strength of this. I just feel like, as strange as it sounds, maybe there should be a little bit more flaking going on and things like that. So anyway, but for right now, I'm staying the course. I'm really happy with it. I love it. Breakouts seem to have subsided. My skin's just sort of happy right now and I'm really enjoying it. So anyway, I hope that this little series is helpful to you. I will come back in another month or so and just kind of let you know where I'm at. And if I end up changing strengths in between that time, I will definitely let you know. And that is it for now. So I thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you very soon. Bye-bye.